we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 87 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. Bit of a quick turnaround episode, but I'm en route to the Aeropuerto in the Mobile Doomsday Studio. So I thought I would crank out a bit of an episode while I had some things on my mind. And today I thought it might be cool to, I don't know, maybe like quick review some of the shit going on. Some things are just kind of in a static state. I mean, Israel's still bombing the shit out of people who can't do anything about it. Ukraine is still fucking up and catching donations. And UK is still hammering people, like literally kicking out rapists to make room in prisons for people who post mean think on the Twitter or the Facebook or whatever. But what I wanted to hit on today, man, was there was a dude from Deutschland posted in the chat and was talking about, a little bit about how bad things are there and how much, the native population, the white population is just getting hammered while foreign invaders who are brought in are getting all manner of free pass. And it occurred to me, I had heard a joke on, I don't remember what it was, man. Maybe it was on a clip or on a show or something. But I had heard this joke, and the dude was telling it in German. And the joke is that, like, this guy, he's in Afghanistan, and he's an Afghan, right? And that's where he belongs. But he's in Afghanistan, and he struggles, and he hustles, and he manages to escape Afghanistan, and he gets to Germany. And when he gets to Germany, he starts thinking, all right, man, I'm going to have to figure out a place to live. But instead, somebody comes up and says, hey, you don't got to worry so much. We got a place you could live. And the guy says, oh, really? Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you. I thank you for doing this. You German people are so kind. And the guy says, well, not so fast. I'm not German. I'm actually Syrian. I'm just here to tell you where your house is. He goes, oh, okay. So he gets his house. And now the next day he gets up and he says, man, I'm going to have to figure out how I can get something to eat. Things are a little more expensive in Germany than they are in Afghanistan, because they're not made with goat or dirt or whatever. So I have to figure out where I can go to eat. But he opens the door, and there's somebody there from, like, the housing council or whatever. And he said, here, I've got a stack of food coupons and a little debit card where you can go and buy food. And he says, oh, wow, this is incredible. Oh, I really appreciate it. You Germans are so nice. And he goes, oh, well, I'm not actually German. I'm Nigerian, but you're welcome. I'm just here to make sure you got something to eat. He goes, oh, okay, great. So he takes off and gets something to eat. And then he starts looking for a job because he's going to have to stay alive, right? So he goes around looking for a job, and he's walking in and out of places, but he don't speak German. He just got here from Afghanistan. So he's walking around, and he doesn't find anybody that can give him a job, and he's a little dejected, and he's walking back to the house, and all of a sudden there's this guy standing there. And he says, hey, you're the guy from Afghanistan, right? And he says, yeah. And he says, I've been looking for you. Where you been? He said, I was out looking for a job. He says, well, you don't got to do that. I got a job that you're going to start in 2 weeks. But until then, here's some money to hold you over. And he goes, man, this is incredible. You Germans are just the best. And he goes, oh, well, no, I'm not German. I'm Iraqi, but I'm just here to help you out, make sure, you'll have a job and so on. And the guy says, well, wait a minute. I've only been here a little while, but I've met a Nigerian dude and a Syrian dude, and now I meet an Iraqi. Where are all the Germans? And he goes, oh, the Germans? Well, they're at work. Ah, see? And the joke is that, like, you show up and you get all this free shit, but then there's this entire mechanism there to hand it all out. There's all these other people supervising, handing out your effort, and essentially fucking over the native population. But I wanted to start with that, I guess, because I want to try to, how can I say, man, I had to take a step back, I guess, and think a little bit that there is a lot of experience that I have that can probably translate to people, one, taking a perspective on their situations in their respective countries that might make their lives and their thought processes a little easier, vis-a-vis their situation. And two, I gotta kind of stop and rewind, because I look at it and I'm like, I think of like, what would I do? And I'm like, how do I know what I would do? I'm not in Germany. I'm not in UK. I'm not in Ireland. I'm not in France. I'm not in any of these places. I don't know what I would do. But then I gotta stop and rewind and like, well, wait a minute. I'm thinking of it in a very specific way. I gotta think of it more in a general way. And what are some general things that I can offer to our guys in these places that can kind of, I don't know, pave their way to something other than just, busting your ass so you can get your pocket picked and hook up some guy that shouldn't be there, right? And his 35 kids. So what I want to do, I don't think I'm really going to go toes over any edges. If I do, quite honestly, I don't much give a shit, because where there's dudes getting thrown in jail for memes, or for retweets, right? You're going to do hard times, sir. I just hear UK, they're talking about blasphemy laws, all right? They're talking about passing blasphemy laws where if you speak against Islam, now that's your ass, right? So this who the fuck is Allah thing that went on a few weeks ago, okay, that's not just, that's just not being mean in public. That's a crime, like a legit crime. It's blasphemy, and you're going to stand in front of the man for it. So where that is at issue, I would feel hypocritical saying, oh, well, I don't want to, take any kind of risk that might bring somebody to my front door. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. All right, with all the other shit going on out there, if I can't go toes up to a little bit of an edge, then, whose time am I wasting here, right? So the way I want to kind of do this is, I know that when you start talking about any of these kind of things, people want to dive right in to the deepest possible end and start talking about, like you're Liam fucking Neeson with a very specific set of skills, what have you, right? The best way to proceed, for my money, I'll tell you, when I saw like that Liam Neeson movie, I'm like, this guy's a fucking clown. This guy is a fucking amateur. All right, like there should be no part of your plan that involves, slugging it out, fist and cuffs, with some professional gangster, or hanging off the side of a train by one hand. These are all shitty plans. All right. Grant, like if we kind of just talk, a little further down the line on that specific film, yeah, the guy's daughter did get pinched, but straight away, you were the dumb motherfucker that let your daughter go to Europe all by her lonesome. All right, like your young teenage daughter goes to Europe all by her lonesome and clearly didn't have any kind of guidance in terms of like, hey, if some greasy looking motherfucker rolls up to you and he's going to tell you about the party, it's going to be so fun. I come around in my limousine, I'll pick you up, we can go. Some of me and my Albanian friends. I don't actually know any Albanians. They might be cool. They might be dicks. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, you sent your daughter into this fucking situation, in this film anyway, with zero fucking training. And now your only fucking recourse is you and your very special set of skills. Like, dude, if you had just done a little work on the backside, your very special set of skills would have never fucking came up. Because your daughter would have looked and went like, yeah, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. I'm not coming to your fucking cool party. All right, you go cool party on your own. So with that in mind, right, before we get to any special set of skills, right, let's talk about like just some prep. Just like make yourself a hard target. Like make it harder for somebody to come after you and fuck with you before you find yourself in a situation where you have to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. So straight away, like let's get to it. Start with this question. What if I got hit right now? So way back when, I think when I talked about, like we had talked about, like touched on the idea of weapons implementation, right? And part of what I had talked about was use of cover. So as you move through an area, you're always looking at like, okay, there's a corner, there's a car, there's a tree, whatever it is. All right, and you're not like focusing on it. You're just kind of making quick mental notes of like, if you were like driving by an intersection, you know, and you're like, is there a car coming? Like, you're not staring way down the road. You're just kind of making a quick look over there, right? Okay, there's a tree. Here's this thing. Here's this thing. It's the same thing in your life. As you cruise along, what if I get hit right now? So we're walking in town. What if I get hit right now? Okay, there's a tree. What about now? There's a car. What about now? There's a corner of a building. Okay, you're going through your life. You got to think this same way. What if I get the knock at the door right now? What if I get pulled over right now and snatched out of my car? What if they say, hey, we saw what you fucking posted, or we've been watching you, or we had a microphone in your house, or we got a complaint from the Muslim City Council, whatever the fuck it is, and you're going to be done up for blasphemy, sir. All right? What if you got hit right now? Okay, what would you want to have had in place? Do you want all that shit off your phone? Do you want the history on your computer erased? Do you want those tweets erased? All right? If anything that you want to be that way before you go to court, make that shit that way now. And then look for ways that you can make it so that shit is not a factor moving forward. So using services that like don't keep your history. Or if you're using like Brave and using the private tab, so it's not logging history or some shit like that. Using a VPN, shit like that. Deleting the fucking memes off your phone. Now here's the thing I want to get at is I love shit posting, probably more than is healthy, definitely more than the next man. I love memes. They're fucking hilarious. I love shit posting. It's fucking hilarious. All that stuff cracks me up. I love it. Where I live, it's not a crime, or not yet. It's not a proper crime, all right? I have no doubt that at some point, you know, like Douglas Mackey, I mean, Ricky Vaughn, this guy, like this was obviously fucking around, shit posting, right? Saying that like, hey, dumb fuck, you can vote by phone if you want, but they were able to construe it as like, no, this is serious. You meant this seriously, and you're depriving these dumb sons of bitches of voting. And that's something that cracks me up, is that like, if you're willing to assume that somebody is so fucking stupid that they could look at this thing and think like, yeah, they're just gonna count my vote because my phone number or some shit, and somebody's writing it down somewhere. You probably shouldn't be voting anyway if you're that stupid. But I digress. So that guy, he got done up and he got time for a fucking meme. But in the States, as it is now, I don't gotta worry about that so much. What I will say is that if it ever got approaching a point like it is in UK, and really these are the guys that I'm primarily focused on because you guys are the ones getting hit the hardest, I would not have that shit on my phone. If I had that shit, maybe I would like, you know, I don't know. I'm looking at it. I download it because it's hilarious. I'm using a VPN, so it looks like it's happening somewhere else. Now I upload it to wherever the fuck, you know, Instagram on my not connected to me at all really account, and then I erase it off of my fucking phone. Now I understand that yes, you can go and get that shit, right? There's Intel services out there that are going to be able to reach into your phone, find all your erased data and all that shit. If that is a concern for you, then don't even do that. Okay, I will say that I know that can be a bit of ass pain. Like they're gonna have to really want you. Okay, and that might involve showing their ass a little. Like, look, you're willing to do like forensic work on this guy's phone because you want him so bad, but these rapists and grooming gangs over here, you're not even gonna go and see what's going on about. You're just gonna say that 14-year-old girl is, oh, you better be careful. We'll charge you with prostitution, won't we? Like that shit's unsatisfactory. But you know, if they're going to show their ass in that direction, that also tells us that, like, hey, we don't give a fuck anymore. We're here to erase you, okay? And that is something I want to kind of focus on for a moment. And maybe a good way to explain it is I saw something about this yesterday, and it kind of rung a bell with me, so I want to share it. So if you ever sat through algebra class, you remember this concept of substitution, right? Where if a thing is equal to one thing, you can substitute one of those things with something else that it's equal to. And here's what I mean. So like if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, right? A is the same as B and B is the same as C, then A, by definition of this principle, is equal to C. And why I'm getting at that is because I saw a news story where they're talking about a guy that got rolled up for a meme, got a year for a fucking meme. This guy got killed in prison by, like, got welcome wagon from some Muslim gangs and got fucking killed in prison. Now, there's no national outrage. There's nobody in the government saying, hey, people who get pinched on some small thing, you know, whether it is a crime or not a crime, or, you know, he was going to learn his lesson, but he got killed and that's unsatisfactory. There's nothing like that. No, what I saw instead was some asshole from the UK government in there talking about, well, yeah, as you can see, and I have it confirmed on very reliable sources I have, that these gangs, these Muslim crowd, they've got eyes out for these criminals, for these people that go in there on these charges of, you know, being present while someone made a loud noise or posting on Twitter something that hurt somebody's feelings. This guy's talking about, yeah, these Muslims in prison are aware of them and they're standing by to welcome them. All right, so this guy's, he's in there talking about, like, yeah, you're going to get to prison and you're going to probably get killed. So if we know that you going to prison means you probably getting killed, you getting killed means the UK government is going to laugh about it. And then we also know that you getting rolled up for a meme means you going to prison. Then we can, by default, say, according to this mathematical principle, you getting rolled up for a meme essentially equates to you getting killed and the government laughing about it. So with that in mind, right, we kind of have to roll back to the old horse thievery thing like we had here in the States. Way back when, you steal somebody's horse, that's a hanging offense, because you're essentially stealing their livelihood. It's only a horse, it's only property. Yeah, but you're taking away that person's livelihood. All right, so we have to act accordingly. In this case, it is a government trying to take away your life. But it's only a year. It's not only a year, dude. They're going to put you in prison. You're going to take a beating. I'll bet my left arm that they've got the same thing they've got here in the States where, like, you get in there, you ain't getting out. You're not going to be able to survive in prison without committing some kind of crime. And if they're always watching, they can decide to charge you with it. And you're in there for a year, you're in there for life, if you're lucky to stay alive that long. Because like this guy says, there's people waiting to welcome you and just and yucking it up. Like, ha, ha, ha. Okay? So with that in mind, gents, if they're willing to roll you up for a meme, that means they're willing to laugh about you getting killed. Act accordingly. All right? And just like the horse thievery principle, if these people are willing to deprive you of your life, you have no obligation not to respond in kind. Not to defend yourself proportionally in a way that ensures you don't get dead. And the thing I wanted to focus on in that regard, you know, before we get into some of this other stuff, is the idea that I had read, like, if you've read any of this Solzhenitsyn type stuff, all right, read about this guy's life in the gulags, life in Siberia, this kind of thing. This guy, you know, you read about this stuff with, you know, my 6 million, my persecuted chosen. These wazoo stories, man, about, oh, this German, he did horrible things, like locked me in a cage with a bear and an eagle. These incredible, incredible stories. And when I say incredible, as in not credible, like these are not believable stories. They made a roller coaster that threw people into flames. Like this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're fighting a war on all fronts. You're fighting the 3 largest empires on the planet, but you're going to divert time, manpower, and resources into building a roller coaster that throws people into a furnace. Like, imagine being at that meeting, right? Like, so what'd you guys get done? Well, you're going to love this. We built this roller coaster. Oh, sweet. Like, yeah, we got this going on, this. We're fighting the Russians. We're fighting the Americans. We got to contend with the French trying to import, I don't know, fucking bread. And, what'd you guys do? We built a roller coaster. Oh, shit, yeah. Show me that, bro. Let's see the coaster. So, you know, again, ridiculous stories. But, you know, you read these stories Solzhenitsyn's talking about. This is what torture sounds like to me. Like, I'm just going to make you fucking suffer. All right? So they're talking about things like they just snatch you up and shut you in basically like a locker. Like, it's too short to stand all the way up in and too narrow to sit all the way down in. But they're going to put, if you're good and you shut your mouth, we're going to put a pole in there that you can just lean on to sleep. So that's where you live now. and it's like a grate on the floor, so you just piss and shit where you are and lean against the pole and go to sleep if you want. But that's where you're going to live for a little while. That's fucking torture, all right? Going to bring you in here, you're going to sit on a stool. No back on, not a chair, like just a stool. You're going to sit there for hours, maybe a couple days. You're not going to go to sleep. We're going to rotate guys out. There's going to be one guy in there, and he's going to sit with you, and he's going to make sure you stay awake. And you fall asleep, this guy's going to come at you, whack, going to smack you across the shin, smack you across the back, whatever it is. You're not going to like it. That's torture. He's talking about another one where they get 3 or 4 guys, they bring your prisoner ass in there. One guy sits on each arm, one guy sits on your legs, and another guy just beats your ass. Not as in like beats your ass, like beats you up or something, but like hits your ass with a pole. Like just thumps you on the ass. And the way he's talking about it was like, yeah, they hit you with this fucking thing and they're going deep trying to hit that sciatic nerve, and you just feel this rocket of pain up and down your leg, all the way from your leg to your fucking brain. Just zap, it fucking hurts. And dude, I fucked up my back once where I had fucked up my sciatic nerve, and dude, it sucks. Like, don't try standing up quick. You're not gonna like what happens next. All right, so that torture, again, all these wazoo things, you know, that these clowns were coming up with all these Wile E. Coyote contraptions and tall tales and getting jerked off to death. Like, what the fuck, right? These are lies and fabrications. These other things, like, you hear this shit and you're like, fuck, that sounds like it sucks. Like, for anybody that's ever done anything that's like genuinely uncomfortable, done a degree of suffering, it is weird that like the things that really, really suck, the things that hurt the most, when you talk about it, you're like, this doesn't sound as bad as it was, dude. Like, you talk about this shit, you're like, I don't know, you know. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm not going to fucking dox. That would become easy. But what I was getting at with this is that when you hear these stories about this kind of thing, even the wazoo fucking stories, all right, the way this shit is framed to you is that you can either crack under the pressure, give them what they want, sign the documents, admit to being a war criminal, admit to being a counter-revolutionary or whatever it is, or you can just gut it out and take the beating and support your fellow prisoners or whatever and try to not let it get to you. All right? These are the only two options that are really presented to you. And I think ever since, definitely in the West, ever since we're kids, you know, they've gotten away from this thing of like, it ain't about the king, you know, who, you know, in times immemorial was ordained by God. It's not about the stronger tribe that'll kick your ass. It's about you need to obey the law because the law is good and right. And if you don't do that, there's something wrong with you. All right, so we're not talking about God or the king or the stronger tribe or any of this. Now it's just there's something wrong with you. Just do as we say or the problem is you. And you've been fed this shit since you were a child. So when they come to you with like, hey, sorry, pal, this is the law. You got to take a fucking beating. Ah, shit, I guess I just got to take this beating. I got to either gut it out, take this beating, and expect more beatings, or I can sign whatever they want, do whatever they want, go to whatever remediation or fucking, you know, reprogramming or criminal camp or whatever it is that they want, and then play ball and then come out, all right? For my money, once again, like we talked about last time, these are not your only two options. Yeah, they got a cute uniform. Yeah, they've got the power of the law, whatever. To me, when somebody comes to you and says, I'm here to deprive you of your life, I'm here to essentially make you my slave. I'm going to take the fruits of your labor. I'm going to deprive you of your family, deprive you of your freedom. If you die, that's too fucking bad. But you're just going to have to hold still for it. For me, I'm not into that kind of shit. To me, I would rather fucking, it's just me, I would rather die on my feet. And like, look, motherfucker, you might kill me, dude, but it's going to be expensive. You're not going to enjoy it, dude. And if you look, you see this with these Muslim characters that the police go in there and they all come out with machetes. All right, because they haven't been beaten down since birth with like, you're trash, you're nothing without the law, you don't want to be the source of disorder, any of this shit. You don't deserve to stand up for yourself. They do stand up for themselves, and look what you get, all right? You get a bunch of people that are like, all right, dude, maybe we just leave these guys alone, all right? So that's where I kind of want to start from. That's like the mindset that I will recommend going into this, that you always have it in your pocket, that you can fight back if you want. You want to knuckle up, you want to go hard, you want to lock and load, you want to get it the fuck on. You have that in your pocket. Whether you do that or not, that is your decision. But don't ever forget that a man is entitled to fight for his own life, for what he thinks is right, regardless of what anybody else says. If you think that you're doing the right thing, get it the fuck on. You don't owe anybody shit. So with that said, now let's rewind a little bit and let's talk about how we can get into more of a preventative mode. All right, so I already talked on like, look, if you know it could be a problem and going that route of like, come and get me, motherfuckers, like if that's not what you want, then just don't put that shit on your phone. Don't have that shit where you can get pinched. All right, avoid having physical evidence. Anytime you can get rid of physical evidence, you want to be able to do that. Anything that says like, yeah, this guy, you know, you were writing who the fuck is Allah in your school notebook. Don't do that shit. Or if you do that shit because you feel like you got to vent, do that shit and get rid of it. But here's, you know, one more thing I'll say about venting. You know, it's kind of like jerking off, man. Like channel that energy in a beneficial direction. Don't waste your energy just running in circles, accomplishing nothing. You're wasting time. You're wasting energy. All right? Save that vril, dude. Save that vril. Embrace the hate. Save it for something else, something that you can build. And we'll get to that, you know, as we move along. But so get rid of any of that kind of stuff that like, oh, what's this here then? Right? You don't want any of that shit. Because as I've seen, these fuckers can just roll right into your house. Don't put yourself in a position where they're going to be able to walk in and pull Mein Kampf off your bookshelf. They're like, oh, I see what you've been up to. Right? You don't want that. All right? In that sense, that doesn't mean you have to be a good little goy. If you want to do these things, have a whole extra phone. Have all the copies of the comfy book that you want. But hide that shit. And again, like I had talked on a previous episode, good places to hide stuff. Inside rooms is to beat a search inside a room is going to be pretty difficult. Inside like a bedroom or something, that's going to be a little bit difficult. To beat a professional search, that can be hard. Unless you have like a properly constructed like hidden compartment, it's going to get fucking found. If it's just like regular person hidden, like I have it, you know, on the bottom of my drawer back here, or even taped to the bottom of a drawer or something, that's going to get found. So by way of quick review, the way that a professional search runs is you come into a room, like that room is going to get labeled like 1-1, like first room of first floor. One guy is going to go in there and he's going to start on the outside, like on the wall, and he'll go either clockwise or counterclockwise. So we'll assume like this group's protocol is to start clockwise. They're going to go in there and they're going to go clockwise. They're going to pull all the shit away from the wall. And as they pull it away, they're going to look at it. So like if there's a dresser, a guy's going to look at everything on top of the dresser. He's going to like any little curios or boxes or knickknacks. He's going to take that shit apart, pretty much demolish that shit. And his thinking is going to be that, well, look, man, if you made me come over here, you're probably up to something. All I got to do is find it. So he's going to generally demolish everything that's on top of that cabinet or that dresser. He's going to throw all that shit into the center of the room, okay? So like, you know, say you got like a little jewelry box or something. He's going to look at that shit, turn it all upside down, shake it all out, make sure there's nothing in it, on it, attached to it, throw it in the middle of the room. Going to empty all the drawers, do the same thing with everything in the drawers. And he's going to pull the drawers out, examine the drawers. Is there a hidden compartment? Is there something stuck to the bottom? And he's going to throw that shit in the middle of the room. Then he's going to examine the body of the dresser. Is there anything hooked to this, a hidden compartment, any of this kind of thing? Push that into the center of the room. Then he's going to look where the dresser was. Okay, so yeah, the dresser was right here. Is there something under it, like a little compartment, a piece of rug, something under the rug, hole in the floor? Is there something over it, like a space in the ceiling, like ceiling tile or some kind of a thing? He's going to do this all the way around the room and push everything into the center of the room, going clockwise. Now the next guy is going to come in. Okay, so it's going to work in two. So another guy's going to come in. Next guy is going to come in and he's going to go counterclockwise, but he's going to start on the wall and then he's going to go counterclockwise all the way around the room, looking the same way at everything. Once he gets done with that, now he's going to go to the stuff that's in the middle of the room. He's going to pick up each piece, each thing that's been thrown in the middle of the room. He's going to examine it and throw it back out towards the outside of the room. So as somebody moves through this house, like there'll be a whole nother guy that's moving through here, and these rooms are labeled 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and so on. And there's going to be a guy that's taking notes, taking inventory of like, did you find anything here? So if a guy finds like a thumb drive hidden under a jewelry box or in the floor or in a light fixture or some kind of shit, and the guy will be like, yeah, I found a thumb drive hidden up here. And even if it's stuff that's not hidden, like you got your computer right there, they're taking that fucking computer. All right, so that's going to get labeled. What was in here? A desktop computer. Okay, that's written down in room, 1-1 or whatever. So they're going to do this through the entire structure, all right, through all the rooms. What, and I mean, dude, I'll fucking say this right out, and I could say this to people who actually do this, and they'll still fuck it up and forget it, because this is the way these people are, and I'll come to why here shortly. They'll look in all the rooms very thoroughly, but some of the things they don't look at is hallways. They don't look in hallways or like alcoves or entryways or this kind of thing. Like right as you walk into the door of a place, like a little entryway where you might put shoes or coats or whatever. These places don't get looked at that hard. And it's just this mindset. It's just this kind of mindset with this kind of person that they don't consider it a room. They don't look at it as a room. And it's bizarre, especially for like a lot of us that are accustomed to thinking in an abstract kind of way, but these people just don't think that way. So take advantage of that. So anything that's like a between rooms, like even like walking from like a hallway into like a kitchen or a dining area or something. If there's like, a little bit of a floorboard right there, that's a great place to like pry that up, create a little space down there, put that down there. People, especially like military types, there's this thing, I don't know what it is, like they break nuts on this about stepping on that stuff. Don't step on this, all right? Like in boot camp, they'd make you polish this stuff a lot of times. So it just becomes like second nature, like you don't step on the threshold of this room to that room. It's bizarre, dude. But it's something you can take advantage of. Something I wanted to hit on is the deal of interacting with these people. So, we know, I mean, it's disgusting to look at, to watch what should be otherwise decent white men and women rooting on Muslims. Like there's I saw some guy, he had done something or said something or like fuck you, or snatched up like a Palestine flag or something in England, and all these Muslims are chasing his ass down the street, and then some cop is chasing him as well, and the cop grabs onto him. This cop fucking grabs onto him, and all these Muslims are just whacking the shit out of him. But this guy doesn't turn around or like pull a gun or anything else. He's like, no, lads, no, you're better than him. Like talking about like, no, he's just a piece of shit, I'll deal with him type thing. So he's going to roll this guy up, and he's in the process of arresting this guy who really only, like grabbed a flag or yelled something. These people are assaulting the shit out of him. And this cop is like, oh no, I'm not going to do anything about that. No, I'm going to arrest this fucking guy though, because he upset the Muslims, and I'm not standing for that. So it's infuriating to see this kind of shit, to see what should be otherwise decent white men and women rooting on the destruction of their own people. That said, ladies and gents, it is your back that's against the wall. You do not have the luxury of wearing your emotions on your sleeve. All right? Be an actor. Play the part. And what I mean by that is figure out what part you need to play for this interaction. Whether that's, I was just walking down the street, I don't know what's going on. Or, hey, look, no, I'm on your side. Yeah, no, hey, yeah, I saw the whole thing. I didn't see quite who did it, but yeah, whatever the fuck part you got to play, all right? Play that part. Now, I will tell you that that with certain exceptions, with the good few exceptions, the fact of the matter is that cops are not generally the smartest people you're going to meet. They, again, like we talked about last time, they very much adhere to this attitude that things need to be either black or white. Like, there's only one way to see this thing, right? And you're not going to convince them of shit. All right, so what you have to do is play this part that says, hey, I'm a decent, upstanding citizen. I'm not the problem here. All right, I'm actually on your side. All right, and you will be surprised at how well that goes. Do not. I mean, unless you mean to, like, I'm here to fight and we're gonna fucking fight. Unless you mean to go that route, then don't do that. All right. I will say, do your best to respond in yes, sir, no, sir. Answer in short sentences. Don't cook up bullshit. All right, because the one thing cops are good at, I'll tell you that I'll hand you some really solid shit right here. All right, the one thing cops are really good at is detecting lies. All right, and that is because cops are lied to every single day. Every single day, several times a day, there's going to be a situation where a cop is talking to somebody and they are either telling him the truth or they are lying to him. All right, so just like anything, maybe as a cab driver, you get really good at parallel parking without being too fucking bright, or as a butcher, you get really good at sharpening a knife without being too fucking bright. This same way, a cop is going to be able to recognize a basic level line of bullshit without being too fucking bright. However, I'm going to tell you this. Cops, just like anyone, are susceptible to the, like the hot girl corollary. All right, so there's some things that they are good at, like putting handcuffs on you, right? Or detecting if your story is not quite right. But just like the hot girl, there's a lot of shit they don't have to do. And when somebody doesn't have to do something, they're not going to get good at it. All right, so just like hot girls don't really have to think too fucking much, hot girls really don't have to get smart or get in really good shape. I mean, unless that's their thing. If they're, you're young, you're snug, you're in decent shape, you're good to go. They're not going to spend countless hours in no gym. I already look good. Maybe this became really apparent to me just from being overseas with the American military, but to be a hot girl, good God almighty, could there be an easier existence? Because I remember, there's a lot of times where, I was overseas and I'm walking into chow halls with, I'm the one guy, maybe me and two or three of my friends or whatever, and we're the ones that get to wear a t-shirt, and I got a big fucking gun with a whole bunch of gadgets on it and a big fuck off beard, and I'm sleeved up tattoos and a big goddamn watch. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I am walking tall in this motherfucker. And maybe one or two Joes will turn around and be like, damn, that's fucking cool. I wish I had that job. You fucking bet your ass you do. But to be a hot girl, because I saw, once in a while you would see hot girls overseas. I don't know how they end up there. You just fucked up and somehow enlisted and now here you are. But I remember one girl in particular when I was in, Iraq. And this girl was stunning. And it wasn't just me noticing, man. She was put together, extremely pretty. But this girl's life was easy, super easy. You ain't going to see her sweating the load. Walks in the chow hall and everybody is going to look oh, God damn, there she is again. Right. And then when you rotate back to the world, then you start to notice that when you're a hot girl and you walk into places, dude, everything stops. This is a place to be. Why? Because you're here. All right, there's never been a place that's cool to be because I'm there. Fucking coffee's here. Oh, shit, yeah, this place is going to rock. Now probably this place is going to get raided. So it's the same thing, man, with cops. There's shit that they don't have to do, just like a hot girl. They don't have to think too fucking hard. They don't have to be too awful resourceful. They'll do what they got to do, but if you're willing to put a little bit of extra effort in, all right, you're going to come out on top. In a lot of these interactions, you just got to think ahead a little bit. So being polite, all right, yes sir, no sir, short, to the point answers. Have a fucking answer ready. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're walking into a situation, and again, thinking, what if I get snatched up right now? What am I going to say? What is my story going to be? And it's got to be fucking good. What are you doing over here? I'm not hanging a banner, that's for sure. It's not a fucking answer, guy. What are you fucking doing over here? Well, I was over there at that bar right over there, and I'm walking over this bridge because I'm going to go over there because that's where the Uber thing said that cars pick up more. And maybe have Uber pulled up. All right? That's going to make your life, because how are you going to argue with that? The guy's going to look at it like, yeah, fuck, all right, off you go. But if you've got some broke dick story like, nothing, man, fuck you, I'm minding my business, or you're going to get fucking snatched up. I'm not saying it's cool. I'm just saying it's the way that it fucking is. So as a means of last ditch, and this is like professional grade shit, you get snatched up. Like I say, you got to have a reason for doing what you're doing. You got to be able to say, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm doing. Otherwise, you got a real good chance of getting rolled up or getting hit with something like being present at a riot. All right. So one real good method that works real good on lower level, like law enforcement types, is when you get snatched up, all right? Like, say that you are, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, man. Maybe you're looking for a place to do like a banner drop, or you're looking at a place where you want to put up some stickers, or you're checking out how far it is from this hilltop to that synagogue. I don't fucking know. Whatever it is you're doing, all right? And if you're in a spot where you're going to have a hard time explaining exactly what you're doing, all right. Yeah, it's this don't exactly look like it's going to be hard to explain this away. What you do in this case is, like I said, man, cops, just like anybody, but cops especially, are going to have a more attuned sense of when something isn't quite right. Like, you're here and I hear your story, but your story is not quite right. So the way to alleviate this is to give them something, like you hand them a reason that will, like, look, this is why my story seems wonky. All right. Now that could be, there's a hot girl that lives in this building, and it would probably do you well to like figure out some kind of thing. Or I heard that right over here, there's a guy that sells stolen fucking something, man, stolen fucking spinning rims. I don't know, but some kind of a story that says, I'm here, it's a little bit embarrassing, maybe it's slightly illegal, but it's not such a big fucking deal. That's why I'm here. I just didn't want to tell you, but there it is. I'm not actually here doing whatever you're accusing me of. I was just doing this. All right. Now, and again, if it's believable, all right. So one that we had, that a guy had talked to me about when I was in a part of the country where this shit goes on, we were talking about when you're doing stuff like out in the woods, if you were doing some shit like out and about in the woods, and a guy is talking about, what are you doing out here, right? Am I setting up a sniper position? Am I doing like a thing? I'm laying some shit out where another guy's going to come and pick it up, that's some shit you don't want to get caught doing. So instead, in this part of the country, it's how can you say? It's like it's seasonal, and it's a licensing thing, but there's people that go out here and they pick all these rare mushrooms to use in different kinds of food. So all you do is go out here with this fucking satchel. Like, what are you doing out here? I'm just walking around. What are you doing? What are you actually doing? Man, I'm just on a fucking hike. Hike here, my ass. This ain't a spot to hike. All right, you got me, dude. I'm out here looking for mushrooms. I know I'm not supposed to be. I didn't even pick any yet, but look, that's all it is. And then if you've got a list of like, here's what I'm looking for, here's my little book with pictures of them and shit. All right, fuckstick. Well, it ain't mushroom season, so get the fuck out of here. Okay, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. There, fixed. All right. I will tell you this works like a fucking champ. I have used it myself. 2, I will caveat this and say that do be careful if you use this against a professional intelligence agency. They will recognize it on the spot, and you'll find yourself in a much smaller room than you had hoped for. So again, use with care, but it is an effective tool. Last, then, the thing I want to kind of hit on is the idea that you're going to have to start planning, man. You're going to have to start taking this seriously. And the first step towards that is 1, so I guess 2, from everything else we talked about in terms of making yourself a hard target, is like you've created this persona of a guy that's upstanding, regular, average citizen, okay, but now you're going to be you over here and start talking about, let's start looking at doing this, or this, some form of resisting, if that's something you're willing to do. You have to plan this as almost a completely separate life. So I will tell you that, like, in a professional intelligence setting, this is one, it's very expensive because you're essentially living two lives, all right? You might have, I mean, at a minimum, like an extra phone, like an extra wallet with like, here's, your extra, Metro pass or something, because who the fuck knows what's getting logged here, or here. Maybe there's some way to get a generic one. Here's a grip of prepaid credit cards, whatever. Here's an ID you almost never use. It's still you, but it's the one you don't ever use just on the off chance that you don't get pinched having the other one, whatever. But you need to have essentially two lives. Maybe like, two sets of shoes, right? A whole extra outfit, a couple of hats, like a little knapsack you bring with. So if you're out there in one of these highly videoed places that like, oh shit, something just got weird. I need to reach into my bag and like throw on an extra hat. Get around the corner, whip off this jacket, put on a different shirt, whatever it is. Now that might look weird, but if there's enough guys doing it, it's going to make it very, very hard to keep track of who's where, who goes where, who became who, and so on. The other part of that is to start making it a habit, because when this video kind of thing happens, you can't start putting this in play as something unfolds. All they got to do is rewind, and they're like, well, there's the fucking guy. It doesn't matter where you go from here. I can watch where you came from. So if you leave your apartment and I see you walk up the street over a few blocks, holy shit, some shit kicks off, and then you throw on a different hat and a wig and a fucking clown suit and run off down the road, that don't fucking help you, man, because I just rewind and now I see you coming out of your apartment. Well, there's where he lives. It doesn't matter what you do after that. So again, with this alternate life kind of a thing, get into a habit of leaving your house. And now, okay, this is the spot where I'm in danger. This is where I can be identified. Start stretching out, changing your look. Go places where you can blend in, mix in. And then if you're going to go look at something, do something, meet with someone, do some kind of shit, now you're in the dirty phase. You need to be invisible, all right? You need to not look like you. You need to be hard to follow and so on. We get into like physical surveillance, the following type piece next time. But then you go and you sit with whoever you're going to sit with. And now when you leave, you need to be moving back towards your clean type thing. So again, go in places where you could stop, see who's seeing you. Go in places where there's no surveillance. Go in places where maybe there's no surveillance and you could branch out into a bunch of different places where, yeah, here's a bunch of places where they could be looking for me, but oh, I changed a little hat, put a different shirt, and now I'm going to be damn near impossible to find. And now you make your way back into that clean area where you're back to your house, back at your apartment, your flat, whatever it is. And the last thing I want to leave you with then is this, that you're going to have to find people you can trust. It's one, it's too easy, and two, it's what they want, that you sit by yourself in a hole and go, ha, they'll never catch me. And they're like, yeah, we'll never catch you. We don't need to. Fuck you. Stay there. All right, you're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to take a few chances, a few calculated risks. Again, let it be a feeling out process, just like meeting a woman or something. You don't walk right up to just some random woman and grab her ass, right? It doesn't work like that. But if, say, you had been with some woman, like you're seeing her for like 2 years, is something like this, you walk up and slap her on her ass, that's not weird, really. That's your girlfriend, right? So it just takes time to develop this kind of thing, but the development can't start until you start it. So start talking to people, start floating ideas, start getting out there with like, hey man, what do you think about this thing? Hey, what do you think about that thing? Dude, do you think there's anything people like us can do? Hey, what would you say if I said that maybe there were some people talking about X, Y, or Z? All right, start floating these things and then letting people in gradually. Like, don't show your whole power level right away, but you got to build something. You got to build a network. Okay, and again, insofar as that becomes any kind of, where it becomes any kind of, we'll say, operational type thing on the dirty side, keep all that shit compartmentalized. Don't cross the streams. All right, if you got people that you meet and talk with only about this, about our thing, right? Only meet and talk with them about that. All right, if you're gonna see them ever in real life, you're not your fake name. Like, if we're hanging out, don't fucking call me Coffee when we're at, Top Golf or whatever. Don't do that shit when we're out to dinner. Don't do that. When you're introducing me to somebody else that you think might be, a good fit for this thing, then Coffee. And that's if, we ever even decide to meet face to face. But what I'm saying is be very careful, but you have to start building trust. You have to start developing networks. You have to start developing these cells. All right. That is the thing that they fear most, is your voice. all right? So don't be quiet. And if none of that works out, I understand that Russia's going to start taking people. So I don't know, man. Brit Bongland, who knows, man? Maybe set up a new, I don't know, a new pub, a new Big Ben in Moscow. I don't know. I'll come around and I don't know, man. I saw it. I don't know how cool of an idea it is. I don't know if it would be better or where like you're freezing your balls off and you're like, oh, well, at least I'm not getting thrown in jail, I guess. But I mean, then again, I guess you kind of got to weigh it out, right? That like, if it's just raining a little, maybe just grab an umbrella. But if it's fucking flooding, it might be time to look for higher ground. So I don't know. And I mean, at that point, it's hard to look for higher ground and say, yeah, but the weather's shitty up there. Like, dude, it's way shittier where you are. So you choose your poison. I don't know, man. Maybe we look more at that another time. But for now, I'm going to go to the airport. Hooray, again. Next time, I think, yeah, maybe we talk next time about like the physical surveillance piece, like surveillance in general, what it can look like, what it could look like when people are following you, some considerations, some ways to make their lives harder, and what you can do in case you see somebody following you around. So with that, man, I'm going to go to the airport. You can find the rest of me on Telegram at The Abuse Hour, t.me/ I think The Abuse Hour with associated chat, or you can find this crummy podcast anywhere low quality content is purveyed. But until next time, man, all you cats out there in the occupied territories gutting it out, man, I'm feeling for you. If there's anything specific that I can do to help, man, please let me know. Anything I can offer, thoughts I can offer, how-tos I can offer, please let me know. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon, keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee, and these are my takes.